The theme for our meetings is give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And I want to begin by reminding ourselves what the Bible says in 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 10. We read this text yesterday. I want us to read it again. 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 10, the Bible says, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed from the faith in their greediness and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." Money is not the problem. The problem is the love of money. Our attitude toward money is what is a problem. You see, money is like a gun. A gun is not a problem. If you left a gun here, loaded with bullets, it's safe, it's harmless, unless it lands in the hands of a dangerous person. And so is money. If I left 1,000,000 Kenya shillings here, I can assure you, if there's no one who is going to pass by here, after 10 years, you'll find that money here. It's harmless. The problem is if a dangerous person sees the money. Some of us, you begin to shake. You'll be waiting for everyone to leave the room so you can help yourself. So the problem is not the money. The problem is you and I, our attitude towards money. And the love of money leads to many kinds of evils, including theft, bribery, corruption, murder, and even prostitution. Some of our young girls, our sisters, have involved themselves in prostitution because of love of money. The love of money is what is a problem and not the money. Our attitude towards money must be tamed, it must be checked, it must be managed. And it's a problem. It's a problem if a taxman or a taxwoman has a wrong attitude towards money because of obvious reasons. The job that taxmen and women are involved in, depending on your actual line of duty, you find yourself, facing challenges that require you to do things that are unorthodox because of money. And so our attitude towards money is very important. This afternoon, I want us to look at a story of one centurion in the Bible. The story is found in the book of Luke chapter 10, verse 1, Luke chapter 7, verse 1 to 10. Luke chapter 7, verses number 1 through verse 10. I'm going to read in your hearing. Verse 1, the Bible says, "Now when he had concluded all his sayings in the hearing of the people, he entered Capernaum. And a certain centurion's servant who was dear to him was sick and ready to die. So when he heard about Jesus, he sent elders of the Jews to him, pleading with him to come and heal his servant. And when they came to Jesus, they begged him earnestly, saying that one for whom he should do this was deserving." Verse 6, "Then Jesus went with them, and when he was already not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying to him, 'Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof. Therefore, I did not even think myself worthy to come to you, but say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man placed under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and to my servant, do this, and he does it.' When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him and turned around and said to the crowd that followed him, 'I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel.' And those who were sent, returning to the house, found the servant well, who had been sick. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. You may be wondering, what relevance has this story got to do with stewardship? It has a lot of relevance, and I'm going to explain in a little while. The Bible says Jesus admired the faith of this man. He marveled at the faith of this man. Jesus only marveled twice in his life here on earth. Only twice did he marvel. Only two situations made him marvel. The first situation is because of the unbelief of the people, as written in Mark 6 and verse 6. He marveled at the unbelief of the Jews. The next time Jesus is recorded to have marveled is because of the faith of this soldier who told Jesus Christ that you don't have to come to my house. Just where you are, say the word and I know things will happen. To wonder with admiration. That's the meaning of the word marvel. So Jesus really admired the faith of this man. This story we have read takes place in Capernaum, and it involves a centurion. A centurion was a Roman soldier. A Roman soldier who was in charge of 100 soldiers. In the British Army or similar kinds of arrangements, a centurion is equivalent to a captain. So he's not very senior. He is not like a general. He is not a brigadier general, lieutenant general. He is not like the top guys. He captain somewhere middle. So this gentleman, a centurion, was a Roman soldier. He was not a Jew, and I want you to remember those things. He was not Jewish. He was a Roman in charge of 100 soldiers. And the word centurion, the title centurion, comes from the root word cent. Cent means 100. Century, 100 years rather. Century, 100 years. Centurion, a soldier in charge of 100 soldiers. You remember when Jesus Christ was being crucified, there was a centurion at Calvary who was managing the peace there. So he's not a senior guy who sits in the office. This is a guy who manages things. So he's really not a very senior person. This is the one we are speaking about from Luke chapter 7. The Bible says this centurion had a servant, and this servant was dear to him. Let me remind you, brothers and sisters, this gentleman is not a Christian. He is Roman. He is not Jewish. But he has a servant who is sick, and the servant is dear to him. He loves his servant so much. And so when he heard about Jesus Christ, according to what we have read, he sent word. He sent elders of the church. Go and speak to Jesus. Ask him to come and heal my servant. Before I proceed, let me remind you of the relationship between the Romans and the Jews. The Romans were the masters ruling over the Jews, and so there was beef between them. Now, that English, it's only the young people who understand it. The youngsters, when they say I have beef against you, you know what it means? They had issues against each other. They never liked each other. The Jews hated the Romans. They thought of the Romans as being apostate. When they looked at Romans, they were pagans, and they didn't like them. The Romans also didn't like the Jews. The relationship was so bad that it's amazing for a Roman soldier to ask Jesus to come and heal his servant. Now, let me also remind you, those of you who have servants in your houses, in your homes, and I think all of us, maybe most of us have servants in our homes. This is a soldier whose servant is not well, and he decides to find the best medical doctor to treat him. You didn't hear that. Jesus was the best doctor at the time. He healed for free, and when he healed, you were guaranteed of being healed forever. There's some of us, when our servants, those who work for us, are sick, we only buy them painkillers. We don't take them to be seen by the best doctors. But there's something about this centurion. He loves his servant so much that he hears there's the Jesus who is able to heal. So he sends the elders. He approached the elders of the Jews. Don't forget the bad relationship between the Jews and the Romans. So he comes to the Jews, the elders of the Jews, and says to the elders of the Jews, please go and speak to Jesus. Ask him to come and heal my servant. Now, if you listen to the story very well, the Bible says that when these men, the elders, had gone to Jesus and spoke to him, before Jesus arrived, this gentleman, the centurion, sent a group of friends, go and see him and tell him that I am not worthy that Jesus should come in my house. Tell him to speak the word. Let him just pronounce healing from where he is. Because I am a soldier and I'm in charge of soldiers, and when I command them to do things, they do. What about Jesus? When he commands, if my servants can listen to me, obviously nature will listen to Jesus Christ when he commands. So when Jesus Christ is told, the Bible says Jesus turned around to address the people that were following him. And don't forget, in that crowd, the 12 disciples were there. And Jesus addresses them and says to them, I have not found such faith, not even in Israel. Now, don't forget, Peter is there, James is there, all the disciples are there, and they're all Jewish. When Christ says, I have not found such faith, even in Israel, Christ is saying, in other words, not even you, Peter, is as faithful as this centurion. Not even you, John. This man has proved to be more faithful than the rest of the people in Israel. And the Bible says when those who were sent went back, Jesus didn't even get there. When they went back, they found the one who was sick healed. Now let me come to where the message is. If you were following me when I read Luke chapter 7, verse 1 to 10, there's one verse I skipped. Did you notice which verse I skipped? You are not following. I skipped one verse. And this is what I want to explain now. When the elders of the church, when the elders of the Jews came to Jesus Christ to ask him to come and heal the servant of the centurion, I want you to listen to how they spoke to Jesus Christ. Verse 4. I skipped verse 5, but let's read verse 4 together. And when they came to Jesus, they begged him earnestly, saying that the one for whom he should do this was deserving. They said, Jesus, this guy deserves your attention. As if there are people who are not deserving. They don't understand Jesus Christ. All of us are deserving. Jesus treats us the same way. When we come to Jesus, he treats us the same way. Whether pastor or not, elder or not, as long as you come to Jesus, he treats us the same way. So the elder said, Jesus, you must come. Now, if you remember the bad relationship between the Jews and the Romans, this must interest you to see how the elders of the Jews are pleading on behalf of the Roman soldier. And there's a reason for that. Because verse 5 gives us the reason. They explain, when they say this man is deserving, in verse 5 they explain why this man is deserving. They say, for he does what? He loves our nation and what? And he has built us a synagogue. Now, listen. This is he, personal pronoun singular. He, the centurion, loves us, and he alone has built us a synagogue. No, you haven't heard that. You know, when I read this verse, I tried to check. Can one man build a church alone? My discovery is that this centurion built a synagogue for the Jews. He was not even a Jew himself. He was not even going to that synagogue, but he built a synagogue alone. Here is now where attitude towards money comes in. The other day I told you that when God has blessed you with money, he gives you the money so that you can be a blessing to the others. How many of us here would build a church or would give money that is enough to build a building for people, a building that you have no business with? You will not even enter that building. This centurion, don't forget, he was not Jewish, he was Roman. When I did further investigations, I discovered that the synagogue that this man built in Capernaum is the very synagogue where Jesus launched his ministry. No, you're not with me. No, there are some of us here, even the church you go to, they have to force you to give. Where I come from, at one point I became upset because there's this thing they do, they call it church building promotion, where they call everyone, they call a singing group to come and do a promotion so people can give money to build the church. And so I had been invited to many places to do the preaching. Then I became upset once. I said, you guys, you keep on calling me here to come and help you, to come and force you to give money so that you build a church for yourselves. How come none of you has ever called me for a house building promotion? Your own houses you build without making any promotion. No, you're not with me. You're not with me. When it comes to building our own houses, we build without engaging anyone. With our own money, you build 2-3 months, the house is done. But if it comes to building the house of God, we have to be forced to give. Now, if we have a problem with giving to God, then we'll have a problem giving anyone else. The problem here is attitude towards money. There are some of us who can't give. The other day, I reminded us who were here that, there are some of us probably who are enjoying ourselves here in Nairobi town. And maybe your parents are not living as comfortably as you are. It's a shame. It's a shame. In fact, your mother must be living in a better house than you. Oh, that's what I think. And I think many of us are guilty here. And it's a problem. That's a serious problem. Your mother raised you up, carried you 9 months. She raises you up. And maybe there are 5 of you in the family. You are failing to build a nice house for your mother. And yet each one of you have very nice houses, driving very nice cars. Hello? Some of you visit your rural homes, and when you go to church on a Saturday or Sunday, you are sitting in a church that the roof is about to fall. Go and build a church, and you can build it alone. Amen. A centurion, one man single-handedly built it. He never even entered that synagogue. Because he knew, even if the Jews didn't like him, but he loved the God of Israel. Because of his relationship with God, he had the right attitude toward money. Money is not everything. I checked out to find out, this guy, did he go to Darfur for peacekeeping for him to make a lot of allowances? How did he just manage to build this church alone? What I found out is that, in fact, it was from his savings. The only help he got was labor. But the money was all from his pocket. He built the church alone because this man had the right attitude towards money. It's very important that you and me cultivate the right attitude towards money. And by the way, the synagogue the centurion built was not a ramshackle. It was not one of these ordinary buildings. The ruins of that synagogue reveal that the structure was beautiful, built of limestone. Limestone then was one of the best materials that can be used to build. So this structure that he built was expensive building. Single-handedly, he builds. Some of us, you can't even give. These kids who ask for money along the street, some of us can't even give 100 shillings. Hello? The church is not with me. Hello? Please tolerate me. I'm here for another 2 days. Hello? The first time I came to Nairobi in 1998, I was not a pastor then. I remember very well the first Swahili words I heard was from a young boy, by one of the roundabouts. I was in a taxi, and these boys who beg, this boy, I've never forgotten that Swahili. This boy was begging, and he said to me, nipatie shilingi, Mungu anakupatia mingi, something like that. Then the taxi driver, I asked him, what is the boy saying? And then he says, oh, no, the boy is saying, give him money and God will bless you more. And who doesn't want blessings? So I gave the boy the money. If you want blessings, give. If you want blessings, do what? But it's a problem. If you know your money is stolen, you have problems bringing it to church. Hello? Tax brothers and sisters, are you with me? I mean, if the money is not genuine, you have problems bringing it to God. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Like I said yesterday, let's live within our means. May God bless you. Amen. Please come in the evening. I'm rushing. I had to rush because this is lunchtime. 10 minutes more before you can go back to your desks. May God bless you. Amen. What is? Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you all in a special way to our presentation this evening as we continue our series, Give to Caesar What Belongs to Caesar. It's my prayer that the Lord will speak to us one more time. This evening, I want us to, before I begin to preach, may I request for the song that was being sung. These young people sang very well, but I didn't understand nothing. Especially the last one. What language was that? That was Luo, Erokamano. I learned that last week when I was in Kistom. Can someone summarize for me what were you talking about?
It talks about how Jesus died on the cross for us and how his love conquered all.
Okay. It sounded as if it's Spanish or something. Thank you. Thank you for singing. This evening, I would like us to speak about issues to do with wealth. And let's go to the Old Testament, 1 Kings chapter 10. We'll begin with 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 23 and 24. The Bible reads as follows. So King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. Now all the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. If you understand English the way I do, Solomon was richer than all the kings at the time. Today we have people who think they are rich, but actually they are not rich. They are just surviving. There is no doubt that Solomon was rich. If you want a title for my message is When Enough is Not Enough. Solomon, the Bible says, was not richer than the kings of his times, but was richer than everyone at the time. The man had gold, he had silver, he was rich. And as we have said this week, there is nothing wrong with riches. Nothing wrong with being rich. I would have loved to be rich myself. But when you see me driving my car at home or you see me walking on the street, you will think I am rich because of the way I carry myself. I walk like a rich man because my Father in heaven is rich. So it doesn't make a difference. No difference between me and the rich. I walk the same way as they do. I smile the same way as they do. Maybe I sleep better than they do because I have no worries. I don't have to worry about protecting what I don't have. So I'm rich in a way. I may not have the money, but I am okay. But Solomon was rich, and there's nothing wrong to be rich. Listen to what the Bible says. Let's just glimpse. Some of you think are rich. Maybe. I don't know who you're comparing yourself to. But let's compare ourselves with Solomon this evening. 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 14 up to 17. The weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly was 666 talents. I will convert that for you later on into kilograms and tons. So don't worry about that language. This is what he would receive every year, not including revenues from merchants and traders and from all the Arabian kings and the governors of the territories. So the 666 talents of gold he was receiving yearly did not include the revenues that came from the traders and the other kings that were subservient to him. Verse 16. King Solomon made, now this is what now he's beginning to do. It's one thing to have wealth and it's another thing to know how to use your wealth. So Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 600 shekels of gold went into each shield. He also made 300 small shields of hammered gold with 3 minas of gold in each shield. The king put them in the palace of the forest of Lebanon. Now, these shields he was making, they were not for war. They were just decorations. If you have read the Bible, you will know that King David, the father of Solomon, fought wars, beginning with King Saul. King Saul fought wars, and when David came, David did a lot of fighting so that when Solomon became king, there was peace around. Solomon fought no single war because his father had done his homework. And that's the reason why God did not allow David to build the sanctuary. Remember, David had prepared to build the sanctuary. God said, David, I will not allow you to build my sanctuary because you have shed too much blood. When Solomon became king, there was no war to fight. But the man is making shields. Maybe he is insecure. The 666 talents of gold that Solomon would receive every year, the equivalent is 20,000 kilograms, which is about 20 tons. I checked the price of gold today. It's around $43,000 per kilogram. That translates to $874 million annually. Hello? I don't know what the revenue of Kenya as a whole is compared to this single man's wealth. I told you this, the Bible says this excluded the taxes that he would be receiving. This excluded what KRA would be collecting. Is everyone with me? The man was rich. Rich. And by the way, the wealth of King Solomon was corrupt-free. He didn't gain it by corruption or stealing. He didn't steal at all. I'm going to read to you in a short while from now the source of his wealth. The Bible tells us that he decided to make a special throne for himself. When people have money, sometimes they don't know how to use it. Those of you who have money, please engage me to advise you how to use it. Solomon, the Bible says in verse 18, then the king made a great throne covered with ivory and overlaid with fine gold. Is this English clear? As if ivory is not enough, he overlays it with gold. Because ivory alone is enough. I mean, how many? Does President Uhuru Kenyatta have a seat like this? Maybe you have not come close to it. But this man, look at his throne. It's covered with ivory and then overlaid with gold. And this is not just ordinary gold. This is pure gold. The throne had 6 steps and its back had a rounded top on both sides of the seat were armrests with a lion standing besides each of them. Talk about wealth. 12 lions stood on the 6 steps, one at either end of each step. Nothing like it had ever been made for any other kingdom. The man is rich. Even just where he sits, no one has ever sat there or on anything like that. It was a great throne, inlaid with ivory and overlaid with gold, pure gold. The man is rich. Its back had a rounded top, and there were 6 steps from where he sits. There were 6 steps, and on either side he had put lions made of ivory and overlaid with gold. A lion standing on either side, 12 lions in all. Something like this. The throne is there, rounded top, and then lions on either side, and they're all made of ivory. The lions are made of ivory. The seat ivory overlaid with gold. Verse 10 says, all King Solomon's goblets were gold. These are utensils, cups, the utensils he uses. All King Solomon's goblets were gold, and all the household articles in the palace of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Nothing was made of silver, because silver was considered of little value in Solomon's days. You can imagine, even the spoon, the fork, is pure gold. Nothing was made of silver, because the man is rich. When Solomon made the temple, you remember before Solomon, the Ark of God, the one that contained the 10 commandments, was kept in a temporal structure, a temporal sanctuary, and Israel would camp around. This thing was makeshift. Whenever Israel moved to another place, they would dismantle it. And then when David was king, he desired to build a permanent temple. Like I said earlier on, God told David, you cannot build my temple. I will not allow you, David, to build my temple because you have shed too much blood. I want you to have nothing to do with my temple. But your son Solomon will you build. And when Solomon built the temple, the Bible says there had never been a structure like that. When he built the temple for God, those of you who are building for God, learn from Solomon. The gentleman, he ensured that the surface, the floor was overlaid with pure gold. The walls were pure gold. The ceiling, pure gold. The whole building inside was pure gold. So that when the priest was ministering in the temple, he could see his reflection on the walls. Pure gold. And on the day when they dedicated the temple, they killed thousands and thousands of animals just to offer sacrifice, not to eat as nyama choma. No, just sacrifice. Over 20,000 animals were killed just as sacrifice to give to God. That is what we mean when we say someone is rich. Hello? This temple was so beautiful, so powerful that, later on when Israel sinned, the Babylonians came and took the Israelites into captivity and destroyed that temple, took some of the vessels from the temple. The Bible says when they reached the rivers of Babylon, you remember, who is this one who sang the song? Bonnie M sang the song. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Those who took us captive asked us to sing a song of Zion, and we wept when we remembered Zion. It's a temple they had in mind. They wept, old and young, they wept when they thought of the temple that had been destroyed. When Solomon built, the man built. And by the way, Solomon took 7 years to build the sanctuary. Afterwards, that's when he began to build his own palace, and he took 13 years. He began by building a temple for God, then he went on to build his own house. So, having said so, allow me to digress a little bit and say, it is not right for you to have a beautiful house, and you are worshiping in a temporal shelter. Build for God first. Hello? Am I speaking sense? There's no doubt that God had blessed Solomon. You see, when Solomon became king, here's what happened. He was a young man. When he became king, the Bible says in 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 11 to 13, the Bible says, then God said to him, before this, God had asked Solomon, what do you want me to give you, Solomon? And Solomon asked for wisdom. Now, if it's God asking you today, what do you want? Hello? I know what is going on in your mind. What do you want me to do for you? I don't know what you'd be asking for. Solomon asked for wisdom. Then God said to him, because you have asked this thing, meaning wisdom, and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern wisdom. Behold, I have done according to your words. Now, look at how God operates. He hasn't begun to give him. God says, I've already done. God has already given you before he gives you. He says, I've already done according to your words. See, I have given you a wise understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before, nor shall any like you arise after you. God says, I have given you what? I have given you what? I have given you a wise heart, a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before, nor shall any like you arise after. Hello? You people are not with me. Do you believe in the Bible? It doesn't matter who you are, you will never reach where Solomon was in terms of wisdom. God says, before you, Solomon, there has never been any. And there will never be any after you. Talk about intelligent and wise people today, Albert Einstein and all those chaps. They don't come anywhere close to Solomon. And I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be anyone like you among the kings all your days. In addition to wisdom, I have given you also what you have not asked. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things you need will be added. God adds. When you seek after the face of God, God will add even the things you have not asked for, if your priorities are right. Therefore, the source of Solomon's wealth was God. It's God who gave him. All this wealth we have read about came from God. Today, people have wealth from different sources. Others work hard. Others, we understand, are Satanists. Others steal. Different sources. Solomon was the richest, and the source was God. Oh, no, by the way, no one can beat God. No one can. If you trust God, he will give you wealth. Solomon was not even working for these things. These are things, revenue he was just receiving. The man never worked like a donkey the way some of us do. But he was rich. God, when God gives, he pours. He pours big time. When he gives, he pours. So just set your priorities right. God will give you. He will give you. If he chooses to give you, he will give you. But you see, there's a problem in terms, like we spoke during this afternoon. We talked about our attitude. We said money is not a problem. Money is not the root of all evils. What is the root of all evils is our love for money. Wealth is good. Do you know that Some of us are not as wealthy as we would have wanted to be. God has not allowed us to be because he knows that we cannot manage wealth. When we have a little bit of shillings and a little bit of dollars, we lose it. We lose it. We just get confused. We cannot handle wealth. And there are some of us who cannot even handle poverty. Poverty is also hard to handle. You know, there are people who are gifted to handle poverty. Those guys who are okay with it, they don't care. They don't mind. They'll come and mix with you, the rich. They go home, they're smiling. They eat ugali, it's okay for them. There are some people who cannot handle poverty, so God has given them just a little bit, just to keep them in check. Solomon is going to have a problem if he's not careful, because he's become rich. Listen to 22 of chapter 10 of 1 Kings. For the king had merchant ships. Now, if you are accumulating wealth, when will you stop? When is enough enough? When will you say, okay, now I have enough suits, let me stop buying? Pairs of shoes. Our sisters, how many pairs of shoes do you need? Ask them, tell me, how many pairs of shoes? I have asked this question before, and some ladies have said, I need a pair of shoes for each occasion. Okay. Then they'll go beyond and say, okay, I need 3 for each occasion. Can you ever reach a stage where you say, okay, I have 5 pairs of shoes. I'm a man. Let me end with 5. This is enough. Okay, cars, I can only drive 1 car at a time. So, okay, let me buy 2, 3. This is enough. Houses, I can only live in 1 house okay, let me have 2, 3. When do you know? Maybe some of us, we need a thermostat in the head to tell you now stop. A stop button to tell you now stop. No, there are people who are accumulating wealth. They are already rich, but they keep on accumulating. And this is the problem that Solomon is going to have now. The Bible says in verse 22, for the king had merchant ships at sea with a fleet of Hiram. Once every 3 years, the merchant ships came bringing gold, silver, apes, and monkeys. Sometimes rich people stop thinking. What are the monkeys for? And as if it's not enough. You see, look at this. The apes and the monkeys, you know the difference between the apes and monkeys? They are similar. The apes are those big guys without a tail. They are similar to monkeys, but they have no tails. The baboon and the gorilla, the apes. So he gets those and also monkeys. And they're coming in once every 3 years. Okay, let's assume that when they come this year, let's assume they are 100. But in the next 3 years, these 100 will produce, maybe they will reproduce another 100, you have 200. Then another 100 comes. What are they for? Let the animals alone. You see, this is a problem when God has blessed you. Sometimes you don't know when to stop accumulating. Now the guy doesn't know what to get. He's getting silver, he's getting gold, he's getting ivory, he's getting monkeys, he's getting baboons. What are they for? Hello? There are some of us who are keeping gorillas and baboons in our wardrobes. Things that you don't need. You keep on accumulating. Meanwhile, there are people who have nothing. And you are keeping all those things in the house. The house is full of nothing but things that are not even using. I mean, look. I can be wearing the same suit the whole week. No difference between you and me. When you die and I die, we go to the same place. So it's okay if you are rich and you're accumulating things. But tell yourself now, this is enough. What I'm going to accumulate more, I will accumulate for other people. This is what God wants. If you have the gift of making wealth, make more, make much more, but don't keep the wealth to yourself. Bless those who don't have. So King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. If I was the one writing the Bible, I would have said in riches and wisdom and baboons. Because the guy was accumulating and so he surpassed everyone. This is a problem. Now all the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom which God had put in his heart. You know, people would literally come to listen to him. The man had coined over 3,000 idioms and proverbs. The book of Proverbs was written by him. Brain, intelligent. God gave him the wisdom. Remember the Queen of Sheba? That woman came. She had heard of Solomon. She traveled all the way from Africa to go to Palestine to go and speak to this guy. She was shocked when she reached it. The Bible says she asked Solomon hard questions, and all the questions she asked Solomon answered. Not because he was smart, but God had made him smart. No, there are people who think they are smart because they are rich. No, God has just allowed you. There's nothing special about you. Oh, let me tell you, I told you the other day, my brothers and sisters working for KRA, you are in a very strategic organization, that I know. Because even back home, we know the guys who work for ZRI, Zambia Revenue Authority. Perception, we think they are rich, but that is not far-fetched. It's true you have money. Of course, you'd get more than teachers do. Are you civil servants? Are you civil servants? Yeah, you are civil servants, others are civil slaves in comparison to you. You are not where you are because of any kind of intelligence you have. Think of your former classmates. You remember that guy who was more intelligent than you? And where is he now? Where is she? Oh, the fact that you are here doesn't make you any different from the others. It's just God who has given you the privilege to be here. So when you are here, give God the glory and honor. And just serve him. Serve the government of Kenya faithfully, knowing that tomorrow you can be out, someone else will come. And you know the way life is, God can actually replace you with someone not as good as you. Hello. You have read King Nebuchadnezzar, the gentleman who had a dream of this image. You remember the dream of Nebuchadnezzar? He had this dream of an image made of different metals. You remember that dream? Now listen very carefully. The Bible says that image that Nebuchadnezzar saw, the head was made of what? Gold, the chest, silver, the abdomen, bronze, the legs, iron, the feet, clay and iron mixed. Now, when Daniel interpreted the meaning of the dream, he says, oh, Nebuchadnezzar, the head of God represents you as a king because you are ruling the whole world. After you, listen to this, Daniel says, after you, after the head of God, will come another king inferior to you. Silver, even in value, is inferior to God. So a kingdom less powerful than Nebuchadnezzar came and took over. When you check the metals, as you go down, the value keeps on reducing. The point I'm making, you may be the best today. Tomorrow, God will replace you with someone less qualified than you, and maybe they'll do a better job than you. You don't like what I'm saying? Verse 25. These people who were coming to see Solomon, each man brought his present. You know, when God blesses you, people will be coming with presents. Articles of silver and gold, garments, armor, spices, horses and mules, at a set rate year by year. I heard recently there was a couple that married and everyone watched and read and were all interested. You call them the royal something. I hear they refused some gifts. They returned back some wedding gifts they received. Is it Prince Harry or Henry? Which one is it? It's Harry. I read somewhere that they turned back some of the gifts they received. They sent them back. You didn't read that? You know, rich people, they send you back. Send them a card, send it back. Solomon was not sending anything back. He was keeping and keeping. Verse 26. And Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he stationed in the chariot cities with the king at Jerusalem. Verse 27. The king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones. And he made cedar trees as abundant as the sycamores which are in the lowland. The man is rich. Silver is as common as stones. Because the man has no sense. You know, you can be wise, but your wisdom may not be helping you to think straight. Solomon has a problem because now he doesn't know when to stop accumulating. And also, he is not just accumulating wealth. He is also accumulating women. You know, when you are rich, you don't know where to take the money. The most likely thing for a man when they have money is to begin to accumulate women, even when they have no use for them. 1 Kings 11, verse 1 to 4. The Bible says, but King Solomon loved many foreign women, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh. Women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, from the nations of whom the Lord had said to the children of Israel, you shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you. Surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods. Solomon clung to these in love. He loved not just strange women, but foreign women. He loved the wrong women, not just one, many. Listen to the number. And he had 700 wives, princesses. You know the wives. You know the man had money, so he was not just picking anyhow. He was marrying from royal families, princesses, royalty. If you just came from anywhere, you would not, no matter how beautiful you are, Solomon would not want you. So all the women Solomon was marrying were from royal families, daughters of kings. He can afford it. 700 and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. Altogether, 300 plus 700, that's how many? 1,000. What do you do with 1,000? Because some of us, even just one, you are failing to manage one. One is a problem. One. Hello? How many here are married like me? Men. I mean the men. You are married. How many here are married and you once forgot a birthday? Her birthday, you forgot. You forgot to buy her a present on birthday. No one ever forgot. Oh, someone is raising their hand like this. She's not here, just raise your hand. You remember what happened? Was there peace? When you forget her birthday, is there peace in the house? No, you forgotten my birthday. Now, these 1,000, let's assume that their birthdays are evenly distributed. You will be having an average of 3 birthdays each day, every day, if you divide by 365 days. How do you manage to maintain these women? You see, Solomon is accumulating what he doesn't need. Too much money, too much wealth, and women. Even if you are a superman. Okay, if you are spending one night with one woman, in a year you can only meet 365. So the others are waiting. Hello? Okay, maybe. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand Solomon. Where I come from, there are tribes which are polygamous. My tribe is polygamous. But even then, I've not even heard anyone who has more than 20. Oh, we had one guy in Zambia. He had how many women, that gentleman? Baba Matongo. That was his name. The guy, I think he had 54. No, that one is not Zambian. He migrated from Zimbabwe or America. He had 54. But even the 54 were not easy to deal with. For it was so when Solomon was old that his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. Now the writer of the Bible is making a comparison. This guy whom God gave wisdom, he is not as loyal to God as his father. He was wiser than his father. He was richer than his father, but he is not loyal to God like his father. So what is the wealth for if it's going to take you away from God? So, those of you who are accumulating wealth, reach a stage where you will stop accumulating. Fine. If you have the propensity to accumulate, if you have the appetite to accumulate, go on and accumulate, but do not accumulate for yourself. Accumulate and share. Help the poor. You know, this world would have been a better world if the rich people shared their wealth with everyone else. There's enough wealth in this world. Even in this country of Kenya, I know there are people here who are rich. If they gave just half of what they have, there would be no poor person in this country. And I know that even in the churches, in our churches, there are people who are rich, stinky rich. The guy cannot even bring hard cash as tithe because no envelope will carry the tithe. He just has to do a check. That's how rich they are. If we shared our wealth with the poor, this world would be a better place to live in. What God has given you, please give others. Help others. You only need one suit at any given time. You will never wear 5 suits at any given time. So the excess things that you have are not necessary. Here is the caution. Here is the caution. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, 10 to 11, the Bible says, whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. KRA employees, whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. You love wealth too much, your income, your salary will never be enough. Even if you are given double of what you are getting, it will never be enough because you love money. Hello? Is everyone with me? I'll be closing very soon. This too is meaningless, so says Solomon. Now, by the way, the one who wrote Ecclesiastes is Solomon. Solomon is writing this thing after he has made mistakes, and the guy is now coming back to his senses. You remember when he began writing the book of Ecclesiastes, the man says, I have seen everything under the sun. All is what? Vanity. So you don't make the same mistake that he made. Learn from him. Learn from the man who experienced the foolishness of vanity, of all these things. So here he says, whoever loves money will never have enough. He is speaking from experience. Verse 11. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. The more you are increasing in wealth, the more the consumers accumulate around you. So you find yourself working for the others. And the day you die, you go with nothing in the grave. So that wealth remains, and if it didn't do any good for you in terms of your relationship with God, then that wealth was actually a curse. And what benefit are they to the owners? Nothing. I want to conclude on Solomon, and I want to talk about legacy. The other day I said, if you are a crook, if you are a thief, your children know that you are. I'm telling you, unless they're small. As they are growing, as they are becoming teenagers, they are growing, your children know daddy is not, this wealth daddy has is not straight. Daddy, because they know, okay, daddy's workmates. How come they don't have the things he has? And we see all he does is to go for work and come back. There's nothing else he's doing. Children know. In fact, children know. When you are crooked, they know. I ask a question as I prepare to close. What legacy are you leaving behind for your children? Now, I want us to look at the end of the life of Solomon. This man who was very rich, this man who was very wise, the Bible says. Now, let me give you this briefing, by the way, before I read what I want to read here. You know when Solomon died? Okay, let me begin with King Saul. King Saul was the first king of Israel. Hello? After Saul came who? King David. After David came Solomon. After Solomon died, his son, by the name of Rehoboam, took over as king. But the boy was so foolish. Hello, mark my words. Solomon's son was the opposite of the father. He was so foolish that 10 tribes of Israel rejected him. And then the nation of Israel split at that time. 10 tribes in the north, they created their own nation and called themselves Israel. The only 2 tribes which supported the son of Solomon are the tribes of Judah, where Solomon came from, and the tribe of Benjamin. They are the only two ones who supported the son of Solomon. And they created their own nation, and they called themselves the kingdom of Judah. From that time on, the nation of Israel was no longer one, but two, split into Israel and Judah. Listen to this. How is it that this wise king failed to raise a son who would keep the kingdom together? You are not with me. No, you are not with me. Let me repeat what I said. How possible is it? How is it that the wisest man in the world failed to groom even just one son to keep the kingdom together? Honestly speaking, from the 1,000 women, wasn't there just one sensible chap? You see, some of us are busy accumulating wealth. We are failing to groom our children. No, you're not with me. Hello? 1,000 women, no single chap can become king. The only one who comes, people reject him. And listen now. The father left so much wealth for his sons. But the Bible says in 1 Kings 14, 25 to 26, it happened in the 5th year of King Rehoboam. 5 years after Solomon has died and Rehoboam has become king, 5 years in the 5th year of King Rehoboam, that Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem. And he took away the treasures of the house of the Lord and the treasures of the king's house. He took away everything. You are not with me. You have so much wealth, and after you are dead, everything you have left in 5 years, everything is gone. No, you are not with me. Or maybe this is sinking now, and you are contemplating of yourself. Yes, if you are thinking about yourself, think again. You have made so much wealth for your children. You have not taught them to make wealth. And when you are gone, they are finished. You and me who have children, let's not give children wealth for free. Let's help them to make their own wealth. Let's teach them so that even when we are gone, if they know how to make money, they'll be able to survive. 5 years after you're gone, whatever you left behind is gone. What a shame. What a shame. So what were you working for? What were you laboring for? All the wealth you accumulated, after 5 years it's gone, and your children remain as nothing. If they have nothing in this cow here, if there's nothing, they have nothing here, if they're empty, then your children are finished. And your children will become vagabonds. This was the second president of Zambia. Some of you know him. He's late now. I don't like talking about dead people. But well, Solomon is also dead. So if I can talk about Solomon, hello? If I can talk about Solomon, I can talk about him also. Second president of the country. He was president for 10 years. Frederick Jacob Titus Chiluba. This gentleman had a gift of eloquence. If he spoke very good English. When he went for the first United Nations meeting and he had spoke, the white people clapped for him. The English was good, very intelligent guy. But you know what happened? This guy dies. This one, he died. Sometime last year, his son was arrested for stealing a cell phone. Ex-Zambian leader's son jailed for stealing a cell phone worth about $800. Now, what legacy is this? You have been president, and when you are gone, your children are stealing. You have worked for KRA, the top class civil service group, and people admire you. And when you are gone, your children are stealing. What legacy is that? What a shame. So, may we keep a balance between making money and raising sensible children. Proverbs 23 verse 5. Cast but a glance at riches and they are gone, for they will surely sprout wings and fly off to the sky like an eagle. This is Solomon. He knows wealth. Please don't put your trust in wealth. Brothers and sisters, it's my prayer that as you work here at KRA and as God blesses you, including those of you who are maybe visiting not from KRA, as God is blessing you, remember to set your priorities right. Do not waste time making money, accumulating wealth, neglecting those things that are important. And the most important thing in your life and in my life is to have a connection with God. I thank God that Solomon came to his senses before he died. But unfortunately, he could not undo what he did. The results of his mistakes continued to follow his children. I pray that you will leave a good legacy behind. May God bless you.